Look, the back quarter of an election year is true banana zone in all assets. It always is. So you know that you've got a very, very, very high probability that by autumn things are utterly ripping. Just don't fight with one hand behind your back. Don't try and prove a point to the market. That's not your job. Your job is to make as much money as possible out of this technological transformation. You know, if this space is going from $2.5 trillion to $100 trillion, which is I think it's doing, your job is to not fuck that up.
Welcome to our channel. Raoul Pal begins by explaining that we are transitioning from crypto spring, a period of consolidation and recovery, into crypto summer characterized by increased activity and optimism in the market. He anticipates that this transition will set the stage for significant growth by the end of the year. Raoul highlights that the autumn season, especially during an election year, is historically a period of high activity and volatility in all asset classes. He predicts that by autumn, we will see a substantial uptick in the crypto market, potentially leading to new highs for major cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. This period, which he whimsically refers to as the banana zone, is expected to be marked by accelerated growth and heightened market enthusiasm.
Because there's crypto spring, which kind of ended, you know, it's transitioning now into crypto summer. That period lasts into the end of this year, and then we go into crypto and macro fall. Okay, those are the seasons. There's 4 of them, but we've actually, live in the real world too, and they have seasons. And so, yes, we're coming into summer as well. I mean, but what I mean by it's all going to have to happen in autumn, because autumn is a better word than fall. That's a stupid word.
Yeah.
So let's just use autumn because it's much nicer. It's English. But we've got. Look, the back quarter of an election year is true banana zone in all assets. It always is. So you know that you've got a very, very, very high probability that by autumn things are utterly ripping. And that's what I mean by that. I mean, how long before ETH, Bitcoin, Sol break their recent highs? I don't know. It could be 2 weeks. It could be 2 months. Doesn't really matter, but then it accelerates. And that's when I have a whole selection on my desktop of banana memes that I shall be unleashing. The big trade for probably Q4 this year and all of next year, well, as long as the bull market lasts next year, will be this next round of layer ones. Like Solana did last time around. It was Solana, Avalanche, Luna, and Matic last time. Ethereum the time before that, EOS, bunch of others. This time around, EOS. What's it going to be this time around? I think it's going to be, I don't know. Monad, a lot of people talk about. I don't really have a clue. Sui, I think, is in with a decent chance. Whether Arthur thinks Aptos, and there'll be something else. Near, maybe. The major top performing asset, if you're going to allocate money to anything, it has to beat that. If not, you should keep your money in Sol. That's how I think about everything now. Right, which is why I'm hyper concentrated in Sol, because over time it has beaten all the major bets. I've owned and I still own WIF and Bonk. Why? Because they actually outperformed Solana. And the chart showed that. Does that continue? I don't really know. But that's how I think about it. It's like I'm allocating capital. I want to make the most money possible, taking the least amount of risk. Solana's a low risk bet, but if I'm going to allocate capital further out the risk curve, it better beat Solana. If not, I'm just wasting money. Bitcoin is, we're the most secure. We can be used as money or a reserve asset. Ethereum's, hey, anybody can build on us. We're like this big open computing network. Solana's like, yeah, we can do that too, but we're kind of super fast and super cheap. Everyone's just selling block space, and they have a different story to tell to attract people. And that's all that's really going on here. People turn it into some fight over money. That's Bitcoin's story, but it's not the whole industry story. Don't hang on to that stuff because that's the narrative you're left with. Doesn't mean they're terrible things, but look, attention flows to the shiny thing. Attention flows where more people are. Now, can we have one of those altcoin seasons? Yes, but there's more of them. So you're splitting that attention and that capital amongst more projects. Because every cycle you leave a bunch behind. Like EOS didn't run last cycle, really. Stuff gets left behind. So you have to be really careful, which is why I say just don't play that game. Don't play the value trap game, which is, oh my God, that's still down. And last time it was so strong, I need to own that. It's like, it's actually a bull market to just own the strong thing, because that goes up a lot, because it actually is like a supermassive black hole of attention. And the more attention, more number go up. Less attention, less so. So unless a huge narrative shift happens to Matic, this is not going to get the attention that Solana's going to get, or Ethereum, or Bitcoin, or whatever. Just don't fight with one hand behind your back. Don't try and prove a point to the market. That's not your job. Your job is to make as much money as possible out of this technological transformation. If this space is going from $2.5 trillion to $100 trillion, which is I think it's doing, your job is to not fuck that up. And people try really hard to fuck it up. Either too much leverage, so then they're taken out. They go too far out the risk curve with too much of their capital, and then they blow up. Or they get stuck in stuff that is not moving because they're not just trying to participate in the bigger part of the growth, which is usually in the larger projects. So, we're trying to get from $2.5 trillion to $100 trillion. You need to stay that ride and not end up looking back and realizing you've made no money from it.
Raoul describes the crypto market as an attention game, where projects that capture the most attention tend to see the highest price increases. This phenomenon is evident in the rise of meme coins and other attention-grabbing assets. Beyond attention, utility also plays a significant role. Projects that offer real-world use cases and solutions tend to sustain their value better over time. Raoul advises focusing on assets that combine both attention and utility to ensure long-term growth and stability. Raoul outlines the typical behavior of the crypto market during a bull run, with periods of consolidation and corrections followed by significant upward movements. He predicts that this pattern will continue, with increasing volatility as the market progresses into the autumn.
People are seeing the layer ones chopping, consolidating, a few sell-offs here and there. They kind of panic out of the meme stuff. So, you can really see where the risk curve is. But when the banana zone comes, people will just go way too far out the risk curve, and we'll see some really crazy stuff happening there. The NFT cycle was pretending things were communities that weren't communities. Some were, but they weren't, because there was a limited number. Here, there's no limited number in any of this. It's like, let's just all get together and see if we can make money. It's kind of like GameStop in some respects. It's like the mass hive mind saying, well, we're going to give our attention here. If we all give our attention here, that's all it is. This is just an attention game. There's a finite amount of attention, and the thing that gets the most attention moves the most in price, which is why this 50,000, 500,000 gazillion tokens, if they don't get any attention, they don't go up. But the ones that do, they then start to kind of ascend this status ladder, which is kind of weird. I mean, why should WIF have status? Why does Doge have status? Once you have utility, you can start to value stuff. Once you don't, you just have attention. And then it's a game of how much attention do I capture and how big is that attention? If you have utility on a meme coin, then you end up with a problem, because people are like, well, are people using this protocol, or are they using this DEX, or whatever it's based on? And then they see that they're not. With WIF, they're not using anything. It's the same bloody image attached to a fungible token of which nobody cares. The election cycle in crypto, now we only have 4 of these, but they tend to do the same thing, which was early summer into this June period, they tend to chop and fall. Then it tends to just go up. And there'll be a couple of corrections en route. So it should just keep going up, again, with volatility. So that's why I put out that tweet about Solana. Feels like the low is in. Who knows whether I'm right or not. It feels like the low is in. Sentiment was awful. I think the chances are that it just continues to rise now. I think the Democrats figured out that there are many single issue voters, because we're all financially incentivized to participate in this ecosystem, that if you're going to vote against me, you're voting against me and my future wealth or my future self. And so that is a big thing. People vote with their pocketbooks. I mean, that's the oldest thing in politics. And I think suddenly they realized that this was not the right way forward. To allow it to go to Donald Trump as a single issue vote, that would be a landslide loss because all the marginal seats would get lost. So now they need to take it out and neutralize it. Let's go back to the conversation we were just having. What is this all about? Attention. What are elections all about? Attention. What's got a lot of attention? Cryptocurrency. And it also happens to have a lot of money because it's based on this participation in this ecosystem via the tokens. And therefore, there's no way that they go to an election and try and alienate 50 million people. I mean, that's dumb. So I guess they finally understood because Trump showed it, rammed it down their throat. You know, what you've got is excess saturation of supply building. Doesn't mean you won't have breakouts. Doesn't mean you won't have kind of a king of memes that survives all of this. We saw that with NFTs. But what it is a total grab going on now. Anybody and everybody is launching a token to see if they can make some money. And all they're doing is destroying their own market. So the returns of these things go down over time, apart from the ones that actually break out. What they're going to be, who the hell knows? You know, again, we'll find out once we get to the banana zone, we'll really see.
Raoul touches on the impact of political events, particularly elections, on the crypto market. He suggests that political parties are beginning to recognize the financial incentives of the crypto community and may adjust their policies accordingly to avoid alienating a significant voter base. As cryptocurrencies gain more attention and mainstream adoption, their influence on political decisions and economic policies will likely grow. Raoul believes that understanding this dynamic is crucial for investors aiming to navigate the market successfully. Please like and subscribe my channel.